Yo, yo, yo. Hello. Yeah, I have not streamed in a while, so it's exciting to see a few of you here. And today we're going to be playing around with some consistent character strategies. CREF is really, really powerful. And of course, I'm here in Midjourney Alpha, so we have some really impressive stuff to work with. Obviously, I think consistent characters are one of the most impactful things you can learn how to do in Midjourney. Once you stop sort of creating randomness and can actually start creating the same character wherever you want, you can work on kind of long-term projects and get a lot of amazing things done. I started playing around with an idea for a character. I want to keep working on him a little bit. I think it might be fun to do one of these guys. I've been playing with this wizard, right? So he has like scarlet robes, black hair, green eyes. I'm thinking if I make his hair like a pointy mohawk, that would make him a more consistent or more interesting character to play with. And then we'll see what we can do to work him into CREF and see what happens as we get things together. So I do have my Midjourney art designer up as well too, so we can generate some of the prompts that we want to use today. Um, just to play around with that, I added my sharp mohawk idea. I really don't care. This one's faster. um, and we'll play around with some of these prompts here. So we have a detailed close-up of a young wizard boy, bright green eyes, and sharp black mohawk. Let's see what he creates. I am a little bit curious. By the way, if you're new in chat, feel free to say hi. It's nice to see you guys here, and um, hopefully this will be a fun stream. Ask any questions you want. I'm here to answer them, and I hope you enjoy. So, obviously, this character looks a little bit grimier and scarier than potentially the original we had here. I'm just gonna pop on over and see a few of the other prompts. Obviously, we're just testing these out. These are not we're not creating a consistent character quite yet, but this should give us a pretty good idea of what we might expect from the prompt on sort of an average basis. Obviously, while this is all it's kind of a young kid. Oh, it doesn't necessarily have quite as much of the energy I want. Before we kind of get into photography, hey Edward, hey Cogni, nice to see you guys. Welcome to the chat. Um, I do want to play around, so I think what may be fun, and I do have kind of one of these prompts somewhere. Let's see. Figure, maybe? I'm just searching to see if I can find pose. Yeah, this is the prompt I want. So I think I'm going to get a more interesting character design. Hey, Yazid, welcome back. Yeah, I haven't streamed in a long time. Fun to have you guys here. Hopefully, it's a fun stream today. I'm so thrilled about all the new features Midjourney has been creating, and of course, Midjourney Alpha is a beautiful format to let us play around. So, let's create to get this character consistent. I do think we want to have a watercolor painted style character sheet of our characters so that we can start having a consistent character for real. So many poses, sweet. We're going to change this concept of sweet medieval merchant girl into a young wizard boy with a sharp mohawk. And this is awesome initiative, sharing knowledge, streaming session. Yeah, absolutely. And again, as I go through this, if any of you guys have any questions on how to do stuff or what my philosophy is about prompt writing or any of those, happy to share. Yeah, it's cool to have you guys joining and hanging out. I think we'll have a good time, and it's just fun. I used to do a lot more streams, but It sort of fell off a little bit, and I haven't gotten back into it. But Midjourney Alpha makes it so much more fun to just sort of like fit in and exist in this streaming setup. So I'm happy about it. So I want to create my wizard boy, sharp mohawk, bright crimson robes. Um, and happy green eyes. I think the character, I kind of want to be a little cuter than it's sort of having us do originally. I think that'll be more fun. So we're creating one of these pose sheets. Hang on. I may want you guys to see. I don't think the mohawk is visible enough in any of these, so I'm not sure any of these are quite the character we want to deal with. So let's reuse this prompt again and make a bigger deal about it. Um, and obviously, I think I just because I want it to create a bit of a stranger or more unusual ideas. I think a lot of Midjourney characters look a bit like this, and I think we can kind of move it in a direction that's a little bit stronger with their hair comes up to a strong point. Um, a bright crimson young wizard with a shirt. I'll say black hair because I do like black hair. I just want it to really be a mohawk. And I'm just gonna rerun a few of these just so we get a bunch of variations because when the chaos is up, things can be pretty weird. But hopefully we get one of these that looks how we want. And I kind of like this elf guy. He's fun. Hey, Abder Abderrahim, Abderrahman. Nice. Can't pronounce your name, but it's nice to see you. Danny asks, "Hi there." Here, let me bring you up closer so I can. Hi there. If I wanted to make a general female character without a lot of knowledge about prompts, what's the easiest way to do it? Maybe general prompts, which of the mods of Midjourney, etc. If you want a consistent female character, I do have the video about Alara, which is a good example of that. Um, but I think the flow that we're doing today will actually be really useful to you. I find the character designs from Midjourney start off better, even though eventually I want a photorealistic character. I just find this is like a stronger, sharper character design with more interest in a kind of watercolor style. And I'll be working through how to turn this into a photographic style that's consistent and you can create many, many times. So what I'm going to do here, and I don't know if you can see it on my screen, but I'm hitting Win Shift S, and that's creating a chance for me to take a screenshot here. So if I kind of highlight and drag, I get something that I can screenshot just one of these characters. So I did this top left one first, and I'm going to do it again. So Win Shift S, and I'm going to do this one where he's sort of like making a pose and standing out and has a fun little cape robe, and we'll put that in as well. So we'll see how this like elven wizard guy with bright green eyes, we're getting characters here to actually work from. And so I'm going to do Win Shift S again. So that's just taking a screenshot. And we'll do this one where he's waving, just to give another impression of what the character looks like in a slightly different situation. Obviously, if I click on one of these, it opens in a new tab, and you like this is what I screenshotted. So that came over from the other side. But we now have kind of a bunch of these image prompts that we can use and will come attached to our images based on doing this with chaos up. I'm going to turn chaos off now because that's not going to be useful as we're kind of generating photorealistic versions of this character. But then we're going to take one of these prompts that we used last time and we're going to apply it to him. Actually, you know what? I think I would prefer. Let's go back to ChatGPT and say, hey, what I really want here is create some basic studio quality photographs of my character against a blank white background. And so this will be how we transition to photorealism. Hey, Danny. Yeah, happy to show it off. I think that's the main purpose of this stream, is kind of showing off my process for some of these in kind of the simplest way. So I'm going to take one of these prompts. And so this is my young wizard boy. And we're going to come back into Midjourney and take this prompt. So I'm going to just take out /imagine prompt. When everyone gets access to Midjourney Alpha, I'll probably take off that concept from the copy and pastable prompts in Midjourney Art Designer, because not everyone will need /imagine anymore. But because I have it and because this is how I use it, I think this will be the most useful for us. So we're now making this elven guy. So I'm just going to take a young wizard elf, just so that we keep those pointed ears, because I think they're fun. And we're going to do this. This is a photo against a white background. The lighting is emphasizing facial features by putting him in this kind of dramatic, or this kind of studio quality lighting. We're going to really emphasize what his face should look like in a photographic style. I'm going to change this to character reference. And we're going to generate it, though I do want just a white background. We'll take any of these. These are that video from when I created myself in Midjourney. And I'm just going to use one of these as a style reference. So we'll click use style. And that way we sort of are going towards this photographic style and the same concept. I'm in work. I'll listen while I work, but you can't look at the screen. Hopefully I'm explaining what I'm doing well enough that you can follow along, but feel free to pop up if you can. Type a chat message in the middle of your workday. Be safe. Don't get in trouble. Let me go ahead and click enter now. So this is a style. This is the style of me against a white background with my character, who's not photographic, against this. So this is kind of the first transition into a photographic style from where we started. Hopefully that will give you an idea of what this can look like as we keep going. Again, I hope I'm in turbo mode, so this should go relatively quickly. And obviously we're not there right off the bat, but it's definitely a good start. Now, I might generate a few of these just so there's a chance I get one that looks a little bit closer to the sort of cuteness of the character I want. Obviously, this is all my character, so I don't mind it too much, but I do want a few more to start from. And this one, the top left of all of these that I've created, I think he's the cutest one I've seen so far. And this will be the consistent character that I make for now. So now, instead of using these as character references, we're going to use this one. I can just click and drag this. So I clicked and dragged this image, and Midjourney Alpha lets you take it and use it right as you go. And then we're going to take this same exact prompt once again. I find that's almost impossible to create a character that doesn't have a shadow on one side of its face. I haven't had too much trouble with that. So maybe as we follow along, we'll kind of, if you see that happen on some of my images, point it out, and I should be able to help us with that. So try Style Raw. That's a good concept. Style Raw might help you get out of that flow. I like to have even more light on someone's face. Yeah, so we can, this is an example. Obviously, we're not quite in photography yet, but we're gonna go through this flow of where I use this character and generate a studio quality photograph, and we're gonna do this 2 or 3 times, generating more and more photorealistic versions of what we came from. So this was our transition from this guy in a watercolor style to something closer to photorealistic. Obviously, this looks pretty animated. Now we're gonna do that kind of maybe 3 or 4 more times as we get closer and closer to something truly photographic. So I'm trusting that got darker and scarier. Let me go ahead. this supposed to be a white? Does this prompt say white background? Studio quality against a pure. I'm gonna change this to white. The lighting is dramatic. Okay, let's try that. And we're gonna do this again as a style. Just to kind of get it into the realm of having I just really want a very clean sense of what the character looks like. Funny coincidence, I'm literally using your GPT prompt creation at the moment. I input 4 examples into the GPT of a character and I have it create 4 prompts of that image. Yeah, I find that is a really fun way to do it. Um, so now I think we have a pretty any of these more photorealistic. So I'm going to take the one I took last time because I think it's still pretty good. I'm going to add in the one that I think looks most similar to this one, but just higher quality. So let's see that. I think he's got a similar cute vibe to him. And again, we're going to make these character references. And now we're going to generate a few because we're getting closer. So I'm just rerunning this one more time, maybe 2 more times. Did that too fast. I got a creation failed. That's all right. These are actually a little bit too dark and dim again. I'm just going to play around with it one more time. Studio quality creation of a young elf wizard, bright green eyes, lighting is bright, realizing his face. I'm going to add some cute to him because I think the character needs to be a little cuter. It's like adding to the realism, but he's making it a dark, but Midjourney is making it a darker character, and I don't really love that. So let's see if we can a young elf wizard, green eyes, it's a pure white background, scarlet robe, lighting is bright. He gives off a cute ambiance, a cute aura. Could be the star of a children's show. Just to kind of get us a little closer. That's getting to be the best one in a while. And now let's use this prompt again. We're going to clean out both of these. So I'm just going to click X here and here. And we're going to start from here. So now we're trying to create as many consistent ones as we can. Now that this is getting to be nearly photorealistic, right? We're not quite there, but it's getting much, much closer. And so I'm going to move this around. A photo of and let's make it really. Could it be the character with a vampire based on the interpretation of the image? Yeah. The elf has pointed ears, and I think it's working for it, but that may be part of it. A little pouty, perhaps. I might make a note photo of a happy young wizard. So now it's doing this character, but might do it in a little bit happier way, just so as we're creating more versions of this, we can get a little bit closer to what we're actually after. I never want to have multiple character references that aren't actually the same character in my eyes. So if they don't look similar enough to kind of keep moving, we're gonna say it's pretty problematic. Yeah, none of that's doing it for me. We're gonna reuse this one, but we're gonna add me in again here and get a little bit closer. Where was our cute one early on? Let's do this guy. I think those are still similar enough, and they have the sharp. He looks creepy as yeah. We're um maybe the word cute should be before the word elf. Happy young wizard. It was a cute elf with bright green eyes. He is looking a little more mischievous now, which I think is fun. I just still want. It's not doing happy at all. As you can see, this is clearly like a bit of a process to kind of get closer, especially if you have a specific idea for your character, right? I don't want someone that's like too creepy in these situations, and this doesn't get it wrong every time, but sometimes it just seems off enough that I don't want to move forward. This is kind of getting there. So let's toss him up, toss him up, toss him up. Now let's see what happens if we take one of our original prompts and put it in here. So this is now, and I'm going to change my prompt in ChatGPT to make an elf. I pasted and Midjourney got pretty stuck. So a young wizard elf. A cute young wizard elf. Went the opposite way. I think it looks cool, but not like a children's show host. That's fair. I think we want to put him in some actual scenes at this point and see if we've kind of kept this character going. And he's making some progress, but I wouldn't say it's consistent yet. So we had some sharp faces and some weird ones. I do want to kind of go back to ChatGPT and just change up my original. We're gonna because I just had him as a boy, but to get the mohawk, I think we lost some things. And scarlet robes. To start, I want the 4 distinct locations. Let's do in nature. Hey, does having the verbiage glibetry prompt make any difference being in the prompt? Not really. That's sort of my kind of fun addition. One, I like when things with the phrase glibetry prompt show up in the Midjourney Explore tab. If I find something in random or I find something in hot or even kind of like top this month, it's pretty exciting if I find myself there. And I think it's fun that it comes out of my art designer. I also think kind of long term, um, we might get a situation where it starts, these AI models start training based on AI generated images. And I think that my prompts are in general going to be higher quality and more impressive than most of the alternatives. Now I'm starting to get something that actually looks like a person, which I really appreciate. This looks like an actual guy with a lot of the features that I really have. And I really like him and want to continue to use him. So let's kind of do this and go back and grab another prompt because I think this is working. Um, Photograph, young wizard elf, bright green eyes, scarlet mohawk, and blooming meadow. Sunlight filters through the trees, and this will be a brighter scene, which I think is important. And if not, right, let's run this twice so I can get a character that looks just like the one I used. But if not, I also want to try one of these prompts. Oops. X, X, X. And oh, I copied the prompt again. Whoops. Um, let's turn on this lock because I think that's what messed me up. Got to go back to work. Have fun. Enjoy the rest of your day. Um, I really wanted this one. Did I already do that? Was that the problem? Sparkling River, Young Wizard, Scarlet Robes, Mountaintop. Let's try that. I do want these a little bit brighter. Let's create this prompt again with both of those characters. Oh, I really appreciate that, Jeff. Thank you so much. That's so kind of you. That's $5 from Jeff there in the chat. Really means the world. That's going overboard with ears. Are we getting closer? Not necessarily. I realized that when I did this guy, he didn't actually come from my characters, so I'm going to use this prompt. I'm going to take off these two, and I'm going to use this prompt again. And so now I'm actually, everything we worked on didn't come through, and so it wasn't actually consistent. We didn't actually have a path to move forward. So we're going to come back and see if we can create the person that we actually wanted to. And now it's looking a lot more like something we'll really be able to use. I like this guy here. I do want to generate one more of these, and then we're going to come through and try maybe the mountaintop one that I think we tried. So let's come over here and grab the Misty Mountaintop. And we're going to look at sort of everything we come up with here and see if we end up with a couple that really do seem like consistent characters. We may have to run quite a few of them to get there. So far, I'm thinking that this one, and which one was it? And this one were my best tips so far. And this one, he looks a little battle scarred, but it's getting there. And now let's come back to this prompt because I think we're going to make a little bit more progress with it. We can get rid of this stuff and see if we can create this guy in the white background. And now that we have a human looking, or, a real looking person in the situation, now we should get some high quality white background versions of the guy we actually want to create. which I'm very excited about. Making a lot of progress here. Obviously, it seems like the people that we came up with. Oh, no, that was my mistake. Let's cancel these last two. I clicked image prompt rather than person prompt. That's what made that mistake. Let's hide a bunch of these because they're messing me up. Um, yeah, we're going to come back to this prompt again where he seemed the best. And now let's create a few more. I'll leave this as a style prompt here. And that's going to work a lot better. Okay. Now I've actually gotten a set of characters that seem to look the same every time. Or at least, if not every time, relatively consistently. I think the three that I'm going to use are this one here, and either this one or this one. I think that this guy's ears make a little bit more sense for the consistency that I'm actually going for. And now let's do a creation of him in kind of one of these. Let's casting a spell under a scarlet sky. So now we actually have a lot more control. So these prompts against a white background with clear lighting on his face will give us a much cleaner ability to recreate him. Midjourney really knows what he looks like compared to in these prompts and weird lighting where it may get confused. I think the power of these will get a lot better. We could also use these to create more white background versions, and I think we would get even closer. But the power of this seems very, very cool. Again, you don't get something every single time, but this guy really looks like our Mohawk character and seems very powerful and very interesting. So let's go again. I think this one is the end of a volcanic lake, which seems very fun. Oh, I did this again. Yeah, so that was a problem once again with it switching to image prompt over character, but I think we should be back on track. And now let's do the mountainous one. No, volcano lake in the distance. This is a hairdo that, without the work that we've done, would have been pretty hard to create. If we just do this prompt only, I'm curious to kind of show this off. The difference between what we explain to Midjourney and what it thinks it can create are just mind-boggling. This might be a slightly more impressive image because obviously the prompt is something else, but um, like you can't get the hairdo. It just can't pull off what a sharp mohawk might look like in any. I get this one's a little bit closer, but it like put horns in them. Right, it's a horn coming out where it should be, where they want it's just a sharp mohawk. And now because we've trained it based on what was originally a watercolor creation, right? We started from this prompt here, got some idea of what that sharp hair comes out to be, and slowly worked our way from what it created here into this sharp character design, finally into something that might have actually been a a working mohawk that actually looks as it should to now exist in this scene. It's a lot more like what we actually wanted. And some of these characters, you won't get it every single time. A lot of that is because these three characters don't look perfectly alike, right? I didn't necessarily get to a point where the three that I'm working from are exactly what I want it to be. We could do some work where we generated prompts based on just one of them. So we put this here and we could kind of come back to this guy. I don't want to use him too much, but I think this prompt gives you a lot more control over what you end up getting. And if we work harder on getting more and more of these to do what we want, potentially with different expressions, right? So we could add a happy and generate again and add again. I want to make sure that it's doing character. Why did it miss that? We'll generate this and a dramatic young wizard. Let's do that just to get a little bit of dynamic nature between these characters. We might get something a little closer. Why does happy make it so terrifying? What's going on with that? I'm curious. I haven't really tried mixing something to be a style prompt and a character reference prompt at the same time. I'm curious how well that works. That was a better way to get something happy, at least. Slightly. Still adding so many lines into this character when he really didn't have them before. Right? Like, this looked a lot more reasonable. Create some brightly lit photos of this character out and about on a normal day. Again, I'm using the Glittertree Art Designer in Midjourney mode to create the Midjourney prompts, and we're going to go try these with our character designs. I think I just want scenes that aren't quite so dark and gloomy, and I think that prompts like this may get me there. Let's just do all four of these because it won't take that long, and by the time I get through pasting them, they will start being generated. Coming together pretty well. Sometimes the ears get really quite giant. Oh my goodness. Oh, I see what happened here. I want to take off the image prompt because it's like trying to put them in a white background. And I'm going to do that for each of these. Take off the image prompt. Do that again. Use take off the image prompt. Do that again. I'm just shift clicking to remove it. Um, image prompts can have a weird impact on your result when you don't mean to use them. And that can just be a little messy sometimes, but these are coming together much nicer. And this looks like my character. This looks like my character. Pretty much exactly. The bags under his eyes have gotten aggressive, but they're coming together pretty well. Interesting with the musical notes. That's not a prompt I would have come up with necessarily. This is a cool one. Let that load. Let's vary region and just clean up his ear a little bit because I think he's cool enough to be worth it. Just generate that again. All right. Let's vary region this guy too. I think his ears are too pointy. And I think the bags under his eyes are ridiculous. So let's now take off the character reference because everything else looks about right. And we're just going to finish generating this one in a nice clean way. Again, cleaning things like that up will give us a better starting point or a better collection of character references to use as we generate more images of our character. Also, we need to name this guy. Chat, if you have any ideas of what to call him, I'd love to hear it. No more bags, thank God. And this did clean up those extra dots that we had. This one's still not quite done, but we've made a lot of progress today. Hey, name him Eustace. Why the name Eustace? I like it, but that's a it's creative. So I'm curious. Let's see what this prompt I came up with was. A photograph of a young elf wizard in a tender moment with a partner. Nah. I'm gonna just do hanging off a mountainside. Just sprang to mind. Hey, if you stared at that elf and you're like, "That's a Eustace," I appreciate it. I think you might be right too. It's not crazy. He does look kind of like a Eustace. Do one of him. I like that picture of me falling off a cliff. So hanging off a cliff with the depths of a waterfall below. Showing off the depths of a waterfall below. Now those are quite it, but it's getting there. I wonder if we can take one of these. Let's see if we find them. And just zoom out on it. Because I think we need some reference of him having hands and shape. Also, probably better than just plainly zooming out on him. We may want to change aspect ratio to this from the start, like that, just to kind of give it a little bit more shape to it. Because these ones are going to just like have him in the center but down, and that doesn't necessarily do what we want. While it doesn't show him uh, with arms, I think it's a pretty powerful, pretty useful version of Eustace here. And it gives us a little bit more insight into his costume, which I think is important. So I think we'll add this one in. And let's see what I just asked ChatGPT to do was come up with some prompts involving glass and an orb, which I just think are fun and unique images. Again, in creative ways, I'm using the AI to kind of add to the detail and come up with ideas that help showcase our character a little bit in a little bit more of an interesting way. Um, and let's try another one at random, see if we like it. This is in a hall of mirrors. Could be fun. So let's create this one as well. And it really does look a lot like him. Obviously, his face is much dirtier than in our studio quality photographs, but it has, not all of them, but it tends to have a pretty impressive vibe for us. And I really appreciate that Eustace here can continue to exist. And again, if you try to create him manually, you get kind of nonsense that doesn't look like our guy necessarily at all. Obviously, I'm scrolling past this guy, this guy, this guy, or this guy doesn't look how we want him to. But I tend to be really quite impressed with some of these. The Hall of Mirrors is fun. Um, it does look pretty broken and shattered, which is an interesting vibe. I probably like this one. It's a little green for my take. It's the same one. Tranquil lakes are always fun. Let's do that one again. Landscape. Oh, obviously, we need to take down the aspect ratio override if we're going to do it in a landscape. But that's not my guy's ears. That one's kind of neat, but very dark and scary. Yeah, we got one that looks like our guy, probably. I do like to clean these up just a little bit. And again, I take off the style references on them because it leads to some more some less cracked and muddy results. I think that we get some weirdness when we use the character references, and we can overcome that a little bit by kind of doing what we've been doing here. There's a cool one too that I think we can improve. Though this one I might want his character reference for it because I think his mouth did something weird. That doesn't really look like the mouth we've been using. And that is obviously much better, but because we've because it originally started with his character reference, we end up only fixing the things that we changed kind of last minute, and it's starting to have a much more clean vibe, even though the character isn't necessarily that clean in nature. So let's see, what was the other very region ones we did? Yeah, these came out pretty well. Get rid of that one because it's the same. Um, and I think I actually prefer this one because of the lighting on him. And we'll shift click and do this as an image prompt too. Nah. Now we have a bunch of images of our guy. Why doesn't Midjourney have tools like face lock? I think face lock is pretty much what they were for working on creating when they did this character reference. I think that Midjourney is one of the most powerful art generators that we've seen as far as creating variety. And so if you think about how hard it is to kind of keep this consistent um, character while also changing the lighting a lot, this is something that I haven't seen in any stable diffusion powered consistent character system. And the fact that Midjourney has a path to do this, that obviously is a lot of work, is still impressive, even if it's perhaps more complicated than it might have been if you had something like a button that said, oh, lock face. You end up getting kind of the same face pointed in the same direction with the same lighting a lot of the time. And I think that this in the long term becomes a much more powerful tool to creating widely varying scenes in a lot of different situations. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 character references that it can use to pull when I want it to create an interesting looking character in an interesting looking position with my bright red scarlet robe. And now I could write a very simple prompt. Obviously, um, this is maybe more simple than we necessarily want, but we can have a photo of an elf running through the woods, brightly lit at golden hour. And because we have all of these character references, it will do a pretty good job of creating our character in this situation just like we want him. And that's a powerful thing that I don't think we'll find in another art generator. Um, Even if it doesn't lock face, it gives us a lot more control to create kind of, again, even with a very basic prompt. So a lot of my other prompts came from uh, ChatGPT, which even something like this um, would drastically improve the quality of the prompt here. So if I create this one, the prompt will get a lot better immediately because it does the work of kind of piecing in, hey, how does this scene actually look? Where is there a tree? What is the situation? What are the tags I'm going to use to really improve the quality of this prompt? And then we can take that, put it into Midjourney, and we say, okay, yeah, what are we highlighting? How does the elf look? All the details of my scarlet robes and mohawk are sort of done for us so that the sunlight can filter through the trees and create our warm light. I think this is probably something that you're not going to get as much impressive quality out of the images if you're using a tool other than Midjourney to create it. And obviously, this character looks even more like mine and is a more interesting and more powerful scene with a better composition that I don't think these other tools are able to, you have the guy running straight at the camera in this very cool way, or this is an angle shot. Obviously, you don't love the weird horn coming out of his head, which we still can quickly remove with a vary region. But this is a really powerful way to create a really unique character that I'm not sure that face lock would be able to kind of keep intact in a nearly as interesting way. You're welcome to try that. I'd be welcome to try though. I'd be curious to see what another tool could do with this same character that we're calling Eustace, because it's a complex creation, right? We've asked a lot of Midjourney to kind of start from really a quite basic idea and narrow in on something this specific and this interesting off of what could have gone in a lot of different directions. But I did really want to narrow in on actually having a mohawk and then turning that into a photorealistic style, and obviously taking that photorealistic style, making it bright and charming, and getting to where we got to now, where we can kind of create him in these wild scenarios. Um, I want a story of him breaking into a castle. Create 4 images from that story. The beginning of the story. The break-in. Key moments inside the castle. And then finally escaping with the treasure. Another story about an adventure through a magical mushroom forest. See what comes out of this one. I think this collection is interesting. Obviously, there's some really cool images that have come out of it. I think I really like that one I just showed you with it sort of sparking as he was picking the lock. And then I think one of these first ones, which one did I like? I thought this one here was really cool. Of him just like looking over his shoulder, castle in the background. Um, None of these quite did it for me. They looked all a little bit too like part of a game instead of part of a creation. But let's see what it does doing an adventure through a magical mushroom or what I call magical mushroom forest. I'm curious how this comes together. Uh-oh. Meets himself. I can't have other characters in these scenes yet. Otherwise, we need to go like... Hang on, how do we do this? Yeah, we would want to take this very region, copy. Now I want to use this prompt. Now I want to copy this prompt. Let me come here, copy, prompt. Now we come back. Very region on this character. Very region. And now we're going to character reference these URLs. And we're going to put Elara kind of right here. We're just going to leave the tip of her mouth so that it has something to work with. And take out everything else. And so communicate with a mystical creature with a red-haired merchant girl. Character reference this. And hopefully it puts our new character, Elara. Never tried this before. I have no idea if it'll work. We'll put Elara into this scene as well. So instead of talking to this weird guy who's also our character, it'll be talking to our red-haired merchant girl. And it's Eustace and Elara working together. Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't have left her lips there. But it puts her there. It's probably the best one. Yeah, I wish the prefer options stayed put, but then also I wanted them to be character references. But yeah, so uh, if I like type dash dash Elara, at least last time I tried in Midjourney Alpha, it doesn't know what my prefer options are in the Midjourney Alpha version. And so to kind of create this character, or to kind of put both of these characters into the same scene, I needed to take the image prompts, put them in a cref parameter, which I potentially could do if I was in Discord, but for now, there's no way to kind of create prefer options here. And so I could kind of come in here and grab them, right? So I have her prompts, I have other prompts I've used, but it does seem easier, it was easier in here for me just now to kind of grab them out of another prompt that I used with Elara in it, copy and paste, and then put it around. But that's a good question. In Discord, the prefer option would definitely have made that easier. And creating a prefer option in the alpha version would be something I'd love to do. I'd love to be able to, create a prefer option and then use it again wherever I want to, including to create prefer options with image prompts. But I'm not sure how they'll end up doing that on the alpha site. I don't really know what will come of that. I hope they do put something in because it's one of my favorite features. But yeah, that turned out really quite well. I do like how much control you get over kind of how the image looks. Like I can now change this back into a square, and now I have both characters sort of staring at each other. It looks like Alara pretty much exactly. It looks like Eustace pretty much exactly, and we get some pretty impressive feedback here. But yeah, I feel like this here is going to be an image that is worth a nice end goal from our creation. Though I do want him to have uh, pointy ears, so I may do a little bit of work, just kind of grabbing a prompt from here. Sorry, use more copy prompt. I just need to remind myself of the UI a little bit. So I'm going to copy, sorry, not this prompt. I want to copy the prompt of him here because more copy prompt because I want the cref with our original character in it. And then I am going to vary region and redo his face a little bit. So vary region, come out of this and also redo his robes. No, that didn't do it. This is somehow... Oh, did I? Oh, I have this prompt copied. That's right. And I just really want to keep this cref. So let me come right here, cref, and put it there. And now this will actually look quite a bit more like the character we started with, because obviously when it's going to do two characters in the same scene, we run into a couple challenges that aren't so easy to overcome. But here we finally have a pretty impressive image with Ilara and Eustace working together, and I think it comes together pretty well. So you can see some pointy ears showing up as they should. Hopefully we also see green eyes as we would expect to see. 100% complete. The eyes are not necessarily what I was after. That might be the closest, but it just looks like a little pizza corner of what I'd expect. Not the end of the world, but I do wish it came a little closer. Still, I think this is a good place to end. We started back all the way over here where, sorry, this is myself. This was the last video I created, but we started here where I had some idea of who I was creating, and then I wanted to recreate a character somewhat like this, but of course with a mohawk. And so we started with a watercolor version. We picked this guy. We turned it all the way into these guys, getting it more and more photorealistic, getting closer and closer to what we were after, until we settled on some guys that look like him right here. And we started putting together some of these character references to make progress. Preferred option set has its flaws. It's difficult to create images that don't influence the new images, especially if it has Rain, other characters in the back. Yeah, it is difficult. I think character reference is a better way to do it, but it'd be nice to be able to save character references. Like I would love if I click this plus button here and it's like, oh, I could do my Alara image prompts. I could do my Eustace image prompts. I could do my me image prompts, and it tosses them right into place along with any text that I wanted to start from. I think that a nice like saved prompts here in this format where I could just like plop them in, I think would be really cool. I don't know what Midjourney will do about any of those, if that'll be possible eventually, but I think it would be very, very cool and would let us kind of do a lot more while working a lot less. Um, but yeah, we played around, created some really quite cool images of our guy, and finally we ended up going on some adventures, stealing through the castle, through the mushroom forest, and here we've met Ilara, which I think is a cool one to end on. Not perfect. I think I want to clean up his eyes still, but definitely a lot of progress from where we started. And I might call that the stream. I am getting a little bit tired, and this was lots of fun. We did get 10 likes in this video. I appreciate every single one of you who clicked the like button. I used to call it out. I didn't do that this time, but I hope you guys felt engaged with. I had a lot of fun. All right.